Here's a breakdown of my top 15 reads for 2023. Number 15, Cair by Eryn Hawke. This is a Fae-human romance between Cair, the Prince of Fae, and Luca, a human. Luca comes over to the Fae side of town and stumbles into Cair's nightclub. Cair's got some family issues he's working on, and Luca has a little bit of family problems as well. This is a really well done story. This is the first book by Eryn Hawke that I've read, and the world building was incredible. The characters were really memorable, and I think you'll really like it. Number 14, Daybreak by Iris Foxglove. Now, I must say I am a fan of Iris Foxglove. It's a duo author, and they are amazing together. They created this huge world. There's so many different cultures and everything like that. But we are focusing on the immortals with this one. And in particular, the god of dreams, whose name is Astra, and an immortal dancer named Cillian. Astra's on a bit of a journey. He's looking to escape the corruption, and he stumbles over Cillian's dance troupe. Cillian, while cursed a long time ago, cannot sleep and is a little bit of a grump because of that. These characters are truly, truly fun, and I found the dream sequences very creative, and it was a really great read. Lots of high emotions, and Astra's story of how he became the god of dreams was very well done, and I actually shed a few tears. It was quite sad. Number 13, Givers by Casey Cox. Casey is an Australian romance writer. He does amazing stories, and Givers is very fun, lighthearted romantic comedy. Features a billionaire, Dunlop, who is in charge of, I think, marketing for the company that's run by his family. It's a little bit of family dynamics in play. He's got a couple brothers who are all dealing with the grief of the oldest brother. And Robbie is definitely nowhere near billionaire status, is trying to become a fitness not instructor, but he's trying to run like a wellness program at the company that Dunlop runs, while dealing with his grandfather, who's living in a home that may or may not be built on a piece of property that's highly desirable. There's a really great communication between all the characters. That's one thing that Casey does exceptionally well, is have an open dialogue between the main characters, so there's no miscommunication or any of that weird stuff that always kind of like trips you up. And I find that really appreciative. Plus the characters are just a lot of fun. Robbie is a little spitfire, and Dunlop is just a super sweet, kind of like a himbo character, which I adore. Number 12, Deal with the Devil by Lark Taylor. Now, this is the third in the series, and you have to read them in order. It's a series focusing on demon brothers, the princes of hell, who have left. Mostly they left because Maury, who is focused in this one, left a long time ago when he had found a human lover who has now since passed. Didn't go over very well with dear old dad. So it takes place in England. And River is a badass water sorcerer / witch who will mess you up if you come across, if you dare to run afoul of him. Now, River's twin brother has previously done things that Maury's brothers do not appreciate. He is in poor standing, so of course Maury does not know that River is kind of hiding this brother. They're on the lookout for him, actually, is why River comes to Maury. River's brother is in trouble, and he's trying to get help, and does not want to let Maury know exactly, but it's a wild ride for sure. The dialogue and the characters are great, and I really thought this was a lot of fun to read. Number 11 is O Sacred Dark by Marina Vivancos. Now, this one has a dominant sub and threaded through people's biology. So you're kind of born like one or the other. Now, that being said, this is actually a low heat book, but it's really impactful because Roman is part of a coven that was captured for doing very, very bad things, and Roman has been through some very traumatic and has a bit of an abusive past. He was not treated very well by his previous coven, and is now kind of taken in by this new coven that is in going through a trial process to see if he knows more about what happened or if Roman was just a poor victim. And Taylor is part of the new coven and sent to kind of help Roman settle in. However, Taylor doesn't really like Roman for various reasons, and it takes a long time for these two to kind of settle their differences, but it's a really high impactful emotion. I shed quite a few tears, and it's on the list because Marina Vivancos has a beautiful writing style. She is very poetic and just like pulls out these emotions in the words, and it just flows in a really powerful way. So you should really read a lot by her. Number 10 is Johan by Bryan. Now, if you like vampire books, then you have to pick up this series by Bryan. Johan is, I think, the fourth in this series, and you should start from the beginning because there's a little bit of a plot that kind of builds up on each other as you go through. But Johan is one of the vampires. We've seen a little bit of him in previous stories, and now he finally gets his turn to be the main character. He is a very sweet, naive character, kind of sheltered, but also kind of raised by a little bit of a jerk, I guess I should say, who took advantage of him in some ways and tried to mold him into a piece of furniture, for lack of a better word. Johan didn't have much of a say in his previous life. And now he's free of all that. He's with his friends. He's kind of living life how he wants to. And he's got these rose-colored glasses. So when he stumbles upon Alexei, who is a human from a mafia family who is not allowed to show much emotion, but wants to show Johan how much he appreciates and values his time. He cooks for him. He shows him like that he cares through a lot of attention. It's very sweet. Johan himself is such a fabulous character that he's definitely my favorite in the series, although there's quite a few others that I love, but I don't want to give too much away. I normally go for a sassy character, but Johan is a sweetheart to the core, major cinema role vibes, and I think you will definitely fall in love with Johan too. Number 9, Until I Saw You by Dianna Roman. Now, this is a little bit of a different flavor. It's contemporary. Riley has gone through an accident where he's lost his vision, and every now and then it'll come back for a few seconds, and the doctors are like, well, we thought maybe you'd get it back, but it's been a little while and I'm pretty sure you're not getting it back. So Riley is now dealing with all these thoughts and feelings of being without his sight. He's got quite a bit of money. He started this tech firm business and sold it for quite a bit, and I think he still dabbles in the tech business as well as making apps. He gets this caretaker known as Harper, who just got out of a bad relationship himself and is in desperate need of money, so he will not let Riley scare him away. Riley is determined to do things on his own, and Harper is there to show him that he does need support, but can do a lot on his own without help. He just needs to know how to do that. And I think that was really one of the things that I liked about it, is that even though Riley is blind, he's not helpless, he's not dependent. He just needs some extra things, such as, clothing tags and a few tricks to get through it. Although every now and then Harper does help him with a couple things, but like for the most part, it's very, I think, empowering. And I really enjoyed it. I liked that the main character is disabled, and does like give you another perspective on these, you know, people that might be going through things that you would never or will ever experience. A lot of a slow burn because Harper is dealing with a lot of things, and it's a bit of a hurt comfort as well. And I will say Riley has quite a sense of humor. I enjoyed him a lot. Number 8, on a whole nother scale, is Fool Me Once by Ariana Nash. This is a fantasy, but it is dark. It is gritty. It is, action-packed. Romance, maybe not so much, but there is some heat and burn between Lark and Eryn, and actually these are pretty much enemies from the start. Lark is from a court of pain, but he's been a jester at the court of love. There are 4 courts in this universe: love, pain, justice, and war. And the land was broken up to help keep things kind of in check, and now the balance has been destroyed. Lark's brother actually is in charge of the Court of Pain, and it's one of those ones you kind of just have to experience to understand, because there are twists, there are turns, there are characters whose motivations are questionable, who turn out to be like pretty nice, or do they? You don't know. It's a little bit of a cliffhanger, but luckily the sequel is out as well, so you can just jump right in from one to the others. You have to go on this ride. Lark's past is not pretty. There are, I think, a few trigger warnings before jumping in. But trigger warnings to me are green flags, and I tend to jump on books that have a lot of those. This was amazing, and Ariana Nash is a really fun author. If you have not read her books, this is probably a good one to jump in. It's a little bit, I think, darker than some of the other things, but nothing too crazy. Well, it's pretty crazy. Super good. Pick it up. Number 7 is The Art of Husbandry by Jay Hogan. Jay Hogan is a New Zealand author and contemporary stories. Very, very good. This actually takes place in a fictionalized region. They call it Mackenzie County, but it's based on some stations where they sheep herd, and collect wool from. So it's actually, these stations have been in families for generations, and it deals with also the grief and loss of a child. So Gil is a character. His daughter unfortunately passed away in a car accident that he was also involved in. So there's a lot going on there. It's caused a little bit of a loss in his marriage as well. So that is on the rocks. So he has decided to pack up and pause his practice for a while, go down to the southern island on one of these stations where he will take care of the house and home, basically. So he's going to cook for these guys. He's going to help clean up for these guys while they all go out and do their sheep herding business, which is really well detailed, and the characters are amazing. So Jay Hogan is amazing at bringing real life topics that are very difficult sometimes to deal with, and weave them into a story that brings a lot of hope with it as well. So Gil and Holden, who is in charge of the station that Gil will be reporting to, kind of comfort each other through their own hurts in life. And there's just a lot of good things in the story. The writing is phenomenal. The characters are very well put together. Nothing shallow here. And it's also the beginning of a new series as well. So check it out. If you haven't checked out anything by Jay Hogan, this is a great place to start. She's got a couple other series. So far, I believe all the series take place in New Zealand. So if you ever want to go, like every time I read them, I just want to go. Like, they just make New Zealand sound amazing. and I cannot wait. One of these days I'm getting over there. All right, number 6, Until You by Bryan Prescott. This is mostly from one perspective, Jude, who had a traumatic thing happen right at the end of his high school. And now he no longer trusts anybody or himself. He's kind of put himself in this place where he's just kind of moving through life as is without any expectations, trying not to create any ties, and he's barely holding on to the friends he does have. And Blake, he kind of stumbles upon him during a party, and he somehow weasels his way into Jude's life. There are some secrets on both sides that are brought up and dealt with. Good communication, nothing too like miscommunication, just more like Blake, once he knows certain things about Jude, feels like he deceives him a little bit, but it's all worked out in the end. Both these characters, Jude and Blake, have built up walls around their hearts due to past circumstances, and watching them take each other's down brick by brick was really, really something special. Top 5, we're almost there. Up in Flames by Saxon James and Eden Finley. Now, Eden Finley and Saxon James both write separately and together, and this is one that they did together. They are known for fun-loving himbo characters that are maybe a little childish. This, however, I chose because it was a little bit off the beaten record for them. Off the beaten track, I guess I should say. It's a little bit more serious and deals with some heavy topics for sure. Remy is a paramedic. He works a lot with Sandon, who's a firefighter, because they're both, they are on the scenes of accidents and other things like that. Remy is dealing with an emotionally abusive ex. And Sandon is dealing with the guilt of his sister. She passed away when he was younger, and they never really dealt well with it. So these two have kind of been in each other's orbits for a long time, and now they're thrown together. And I liked it because it deals with a lot of mental health. It deals with feelings of guilt and all this other, traumatic issues, topics. And also, their initial relationship isn't, ideal. They're kind of in it for maybe some of the wrong reasons, and then they have to work through that, and eventually they take some time apart to work on themselves before coming back together and building something that's truly healthy, and I really appreciate that by them. Number 4 is Brick and Brass by Jennifer Cody, and if you've never read anything by Jennifer Cody, pick up one of their books. You have to start at the beginning. This is actually the second in the series, and you need to start with the first, which is Sledge and Claw, because they are amazing at writing plots that will weave in, so all the details kind of pull together. And if you just jump right in the middle without starting at the beginning, you will not know what's going on. Now, that being said, this is fantasy, but it's like a urban fantasy. It takes place in this kind of a time period, but there are magic and elves and aliens. It's got a little bit of everything. And Lex is our main character. He is a little bit of an odd duck. He is a half god, works for this agency where he's in essence an enforcer. So his word is law, and he's bringing justice down. That being said, he's got this curse that he has to deal with, and Tor, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, gets caught up in it. Now, Tor also works for the same agency, but not as an enforcer. He is a little bit behind the scenes. He gathers the information, sends the agents where they need to go. He is a scary badass character. So if you think that Lex is badass for going out and like actually being in the thick of the fight, Tor is even scarier, I would say, for all the things he can do behind the scenes. It's really well done. Jennifer Cody is an intelligent author who loves wordplay. In fact, you might need a dictionary sometimes when you're reading through her stories, because she will throw these words out that are perfectly encapsulate what they're trying to get across. And yet at the same time, like, I've never come across that word before. So it's crazy intelligent, and I just cannot fathom how they are able to put such detail and keep everything straight. You really should pick up the series, one of my favorite. And actually there's a spin-off series that goes well with it that you should read at the same time. It's kind of woven, so it's like you read the first one of Sledge and Claw, and then you read the first of Gemini, which is a character hunter ranger that you kind of see a touch in the first one, and then you go back to Brick and Brass, and then Inferno came out, and you kind of see how everything's woven together at the same time. Really good. All right, top 3. Number 3 is French Fancy by Lily Morton. Now this is the second in the Model Agency series, and you can read it by itself, but I highly recommend reading the Sunny Skies first. I just read the Sunny Skies last year, so that's why I couldn't be in 2023. Otherwise I probably would have suggested that, because Dean is another cinnamon roll character who I absolutely love. But this one deals with probably the sassiest character I've come across in a while. His name is Pip. He is unapologetically himself, loud and flamboyant and amazing, and then he gets pneumonia. So he's forced to take some time off of work and to slow down, and ends up at his boss's house in the south of France, which actually becomes a character in itself, because boss's brother Oliver, who is part owner of the same house, comes and visits, and then Pip and Oliver kind of hit it off, traveling all around. Oliver shows him all these cool places, these restaurants, little nooks and crannies of the south of France that he's loved as a boy, and then Pip brings back to life and reminds Oliver exactly why, you know, things are so fun and vibrant. Meanwhile, Oliver is the lead perfumer at a very well-known perfume company. He's in charge of creating new scents, and that's kind of woven in as it is a conflict with Oliver's mother. So there's a little bit of family dynamics there, but super, super fun read. Lily Morton has very sharp dialogue. Her characters are a hoot as always, and this one is no exception. Number 2 almost was number 1, but I had to give number 1 the number 1 spot. So that brought Finding Mr. Fabulous by Con Riley into number 2. Now, Con Riley has a way of words that just speaks to me. Hopefully they speak to you too. They weave these emotions with everything in there, and it's just almost like magic the way that they put words on a page. Now, Finding Mr. Fabulous is a little bit of a spin-off, but it is a standalone. It takes place in Cornwall, and Rex is the main character. He is also quite well endowed with a lot of money. Not only is he a duke, but he works at a banking finance institution, and is burnt out. Let's say he works hard, he plays hard, and the reason I love this so much is he takes a little bit of time to help with his grandfather, who's been going through they're not quite sure what, but through something health wise, and there's this really strong theme of family and legacy, because they bring in Dev, who is the other main character, and they bring Dev in to help sort through all of these family belongings that are historical. And what Dev's actual job is taking historical items and returning them either to the original country that they are from or to families. So, you know, like museums that are known to have just things that were raided, which, to be honest with you, is almost all museums, especially British ones and American ones, and all of them. And then find the historical ways of negotiating to bring them back to the countries where they belong, where they were taken from. So that is Dev's. He goes, there's, I guess, a lot of these houses that have a lot of old things that, have been in the families that maybe were taken, whether intentionally or not intentionally. And then trying to work out some way to bring them back to the families they're from. So that's where Dev's role is. And he's just got this really gentle way of drawing down Rex's walls. Rex has seen a lot of loss in his life. His parents have passed away when he was very young. And that is woven into the story of this beach coastline that him and his grandfather kind of keep watch over. And Arthur is his grandfather, who has amazing advice for Rex as he goes through this emotional journey. But they deal a lot with refugees who come up onto their shores, and that is woven in as well. And it's just amazingly, it's just amazing the way that Khan paints these pictures of these people's lives in a way that's relatable and also eye-opening. I absolutely love it. Now, number 1 is special. Number 1, I technically read back in 2022. However, it was so impactful, and I listened to the audio. It just came out this year. There's an audio version that is also very, very good. So I, on a technicality, slid Hold Me Under by Riley Nash into the number 1 slot. This is a true enemies to lovers. Victor is the main character. He is angry. He is sassy in a way. He is very much tired of life, and he has gone through a lot. There is a lot of dark backstory to his character. He was an ex-Olympian swimmer, and there is a lot of story there to uncover. You might want to read the triggers before this. Like I said, triggers are my green flags, so I picked it up right away. But there is some red flags with Victor's history of being taken advantage of by his coaches in the past. Now, that being said, he's kind of isolated himself in his $1 million home, and Ethan is struggling, working lots of jobs, dealing with his mom who has dementia. Was never able to go to college due to an event that happened right at the beginning of his mom's disease that they slowly peel away and uncover. So he is mowing the lawn of Victor, who he idolized actually in the past when Ethan was thinking about becoming a swimmer as well, and ends up at the bottom of Victor's pool and almost letting himself drown out. He's not a happy camper as well, but at least he's polite, unlike Victor. And these two are like oil and water. They do not seem to get along. Victor's dad ends up hiring Ethan to help clean up Victor's image because Victor's dad is trying to launch a dating app and is trying to use Victor as a way to sell the app. So that is what's going on there. And these two, it breaks your heart with the things that they've gone through. But I love how Riley does not change the core of these characters. So even after they start to not hate each other, start to tolerate each other, Victor is still Victor. Like, Victor is still in your face, blunt, will not sugarcoat. Even at the end, he never turns into a hearts and flowers guy. He is always still Victor, and I absolutely 100% I'm here for that. I like it when the characters can grow. For sure, characters need to grow, but I love it when they keep the core of who a character is. And Riley Nash does an amazing job of that here. And this one, to this day, I think of it all the time. I recommend it all the time. It lives in my heart. There's something about it that truly just spoke to me. And so that is why I had to make it number 1. Thank you. Let me know if you had any favorite reads of 2023. Let me know in the comments below what yours were, if you agree or disagree, if you've read any of the ones I suggested. I would really love to hear that. All right. Thank you.